Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Just One More Level podcast. I am your co-host, John.
And I'm Christian.
And today, this week, we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite games, the legendary Minecraft.
Yep. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody out there knows what Minecraft is. So do we even need to go into explaining what it is that you do in Minecraft?
I don't really think so, but I mean, I guess for the uninitiated, it could be helpful because
Sure.
I feel like sometimes people have kind of a stunted view of Minecraft if they're just
Right.
if they're very casual and they only know it in name only.
It's fair.
I know I learned a lot of things. So I guess we'll kind of start off with the basics. Minecraft is a survival game mostly. It's kind of intended to be in a sandbox block world.
Yep.
Everything in the game is based around blocks.
Everything is based around blocks. Besides a few items in the game, but all of the mobs, all of the characters, and the entire world is all built out of blocks. So the only thing that's not is you have mushrooms and some things that you can eat, that you can grow, and things like that. But everything else, blocks.
Yeah. And as it has been updated over time, they've added more variety to the look. I know with the ocean update, they added things like kelp and seaweed.
Oh, yeah.
And those aren't block-based necessarily, although they do seem block-based. The things that they've added in the recent Nether update, and of course things that they're going to be adding in the next update, the cave update, Caves and Cliffs, there's going to be some more things that are kind of a variance from what they have done historically, but it's safe to say that the game is block based. The trees, the soil, the rocks, everything is based around some kind of block. It's
and honestly, I think that plays a lot to its not to its detriment, but to its advantage, really, because it makes it so much more easy to plan out your base, to build things and things like that. Whereas other survival games with building elements, crafting elements that kind of try to do the same thing as Minecraft usually aren't completely block-based. I find it's just a lot harder to terraform in a way that is neat, almost. I can't think of really the right word for it, but to have it fit in with the rest of the world and still feel nice and to be easy to do too is another huge thing. Because Minecraft is extremely easy to just pick up and play. Obviously, people of all ages, from pretty much toddlers all the way up to, I don't know how the oldest person to ever play Minecraft, but full-grown adults certainly. So
yeah, and it's become a lot more user-friendly as time has gone on.
Yes.
They've added updates to the crafting system. You now have a recipe book when you access your crafting table with your items, so it can tell you what you're able to craft with what you're holding in your inventory, which is really nice for us old school Minecrafters. We remember.
I was gonna say, I've been
used
playing
to just have a
release,
grid,
and I remember that was one of the biggest complaints that I heard from other people that I was trying to get into the game is how do you remember all of the recipes, or what is the recipe for this, or how did you make that again? And it's just, basically back then you just pulled up the wiki if you forgot something and just had to kind of go wiki surfing to remember everything, unless you were a hardcore player playing all the time.
Yeah, I've heard even back in the day, people used to make lists and graphs their desktop.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So they could just pull out of the game and see what they were missing real quick and things like that. So that's the basics of the game. Without going into too much detail about.
It's kind of in the name. It's all about mining and crafting. That's what you do. You mine for resources and explore for resources. Basically, just gather, and then you craft things to get stronger until you can eventually get to the end. Literally, that's the name of the dimension, and beat the final boss and win the game. But once you win the game, it's open-ended, so obviously you can just continue to explore, and there's even new things that you can find after you beat the final boss to be able to do even more things. So it's a very open-ended, very it's Minecraft. Everybody knows what Minecraft is.
So it's for a lot of people, it's what Stardew Valley was for you and I, and Stardew Valley continues to be for me. Minecraft can be a very peaceful experience. You can play it however way you want to. Similar to Stardew Valley, you can play it to win. You can try to find all the best stuff in the quickest amount of time, and get the strongest as fast as possible, or you can just play it as a farming simulator or just explore around the world and build cool things. And that's something that they added pretty early into the game, was the creative mode, where you had access to all of the blocks that you could ever want, and you could just use those blocks to create whatever you wanted to. And people in the community have built some truly amazing things out of Minecraft. Even back in the early days, I remember seeing someone made Starship Enterprise in Minecraft, and back then it was even more difficult because you didn't have the huge variety that you have today with choices of what to build out of. So they built this giant replica of the Enterprise with just stone, essentially.
Right, yeah. And I remember that build back in the alpha beta days. It was truly amazing, and people have since then just done bigger and bigger things, recreating entire cities and continents and things like that. Just it's really amazing the things that people go through. Now, most of those really large builds tend to be built with third-party tools, and this is where John and I kind of differ on Minecraft. John likes Minecraft for the game, for Minecraft. I don't really like Minecraft for the game, so don't get me wrong. I think Minecraft is great. I just don't think it's a very good gameplay experience on its own. If your goal is to play a game, if your goal is to be creative, to make things, or to just explore, if that's all you really want to do, then I think Minecraft will fill those needs. But if you want to play a game or follow a story or do quests, if you want kind of those traditional gameplay elements, then Minecraft isn't really going to scratch that itch for you, I don't think. But the community, on the other hand, has completely filled that void. If you're willing to just download a couple mods or download adventure maps and things like that, never has a game had more mod support, I think, than Minecraft does. Like, it's truly amazing, the breadth of mods that you can download and use for this game.
Right.
If you can imagine it, there's probably a mod to do it. There's whole mods to turn the world of Minecraft, like to add what's it called, like nuclear power plants to generate electricity, and then you can use that electricity to run machines, and just it truly is amazing what people have done. So
and another huge element of the game, before we dive too deep into details, is the multiplayer aspect. That's what really took Minecraft far above and beyond what I think was ever probably intended. People on YouTube got a hold of Minecraft and started playing together on servers, and that has attracted huge audiences. Because, like we were saying, if you're not really there for the traditional Minecraft experience, you can make the game whatever you want it to be. You can play in creative mode, or you can play on a server with other people and still use the traditional gameplay elements, but turn them into what you want. I know one of my favorite servers is the Hermitcraft server, which is a pretty famous server. The top players on that server have a few million followers, subscribers, whatever you want to call them. And they just add these unique elements to the way that they play the game. They have what they call the shopping district, where each of them will have a couple of resources that they grind for and sell that some of the other players might not have. And then for the currency, usually they just use diamonds, but sometimes, you can barter and trade and do different things, whatever they want to do. And it's all goofing around. They just have fun with it. It's not meant to be some kind of serious experience. But they also create like mini games and storylines and quests. There's been a couple of seasons where they make these big rivalries, so they get together and build these giant tower defense bases and try to steal each other's flags or do something like that. And that's none of that is inherent in how you're quote unquote supposed to play Minecraft. But just a few creative people got together and decided to just make the best out of it.
Yeah. And that's really kind of speaks to kind of what I was saying with like mods as well. Now, Hermitcraft is a completely unmodded server, but you can take all of those things they're doing to the extreme as well if you wanted to. There are mods to add like actual currency and actual shops for buying and selling and things like that. They have just kind of an agreement to, on most servers like Hermitcraft, kind of this is your plot of land, you can do with it as you please, nobody else will mess with it, sort of things. But there are mods so that you can actually like buy plots of land where it's now your plot of land, you own it, nobody else can, even if they wanted to mess with it, things like that. And it really is just amazing to me, all the things you can do,
Yeah.
whether it's like John was saying on the Hermitcraft server, where it's just some creative people who all agree that this is the style that we're going to play in, or whether
Right.
it's modded to enforce rules on people like
Mhm.
that. And
Right.
or even if you just want to play on your own, there are mods to add more variety to the NPCs that are traditionally in the game, to add to quest lines and things like that, so that those things that you would otherwise only be able to do in multiplayer, you can now do in single player as well, if you prefer to play
Right.
that way.
Right. Yeah. And so I'll just talk about a my brief history with Minecraft. I figured I
Sure.
would go first just because I think mine's probably a little more brief. So the first experience I remember having with Minecraft, I went over to somebody's house in high school. I think this must have been in the beta days or very early release.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me about this game he was playing called Minecraft, and he described it like a lot of people did back in the day. It's like Legos, but in a video
Right.
game.
Yeah.
And
Honestly.
I was just like, okay. And he showed me this giant castle that he made with a roller coaster track, and I was like, all right, this is amazing.
Yep.
And that's pretty much all you could do if you were playing by yourself back in the day is build castle-looking structures because the game had just a bunch of stone and wood,
Right.
and then it had the minecart system, so you could make roller coasters. That's what a lot of people did.
Yeah, there wasn't really even an end game at this point in time, so
Right.
it was
Yeah.
there was only the survival element. There was no boss to beat or anything
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Right. So they that was my very first time seeing it, and I didn't touch it again until college, and this would have been 2012, 2013. So again, still early days. But just somebody I knew gave me his password, his username to his account, and he said, "Yeah, you can make a world on there. You can do what you want." And I tried to play around with it for a little bit, but I couldn't get into it that much because I did take the time to kind of research what I was doing.
Right.
So I was just kind of fumbling around, and it wasn't as user friendly back then. So I didn't really know what to do necessarily. I made like a little dirt hut, and I had torches around because he was there for some of it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you got to make torches so that zombies and skeletons don't come, and you got to make a door so they can't get in there." And I was just like, "Oh okay." And I messed around with it for a little bit, and then I didn't really touch it again until years later. Excuse me. Until years later, my nephew started getting into it, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I remember Minecraft. That's fun." I'm gonna pick up a copy of it on my PlayStation 3 and try to kind of learn how the game's played so I could play it with him.
Right.
And that's when I really sunk into it. So that was about 5 years ago. And I've never stopped playing. I got into YouTube videos about Minecraft because I played on my own for a while, and I followed the in-game tutorials on how to do certain things. So I just kind of made it my own and played in my own style for a long time. And then I started watching YouTube videos of Minecraft, and I was just like, oh, that's what you can do with that. Okay. And
Right.
that really elevated the experience for me because I would be caving forever and thinking to myself, I haven't seen a diamond in a year. Where am I supposed to be looking for these? Am I doing this wrong? And then you'd look up a YouTube video and find out that they spawn most frequently at certain levels of the world. They literally can't spawn above a certain level.
Right.
And the most efficient way to look for them is to cave down deep or to dig out tunnels. It's called strip mining, So and then redstone is this giant mechanic in the game that basically adds electricity and to a certain degree logic puzzles
Mm-hmm.
to the game, and there's a lot that you can do with it if you're really patient and really creative. You can kind of almost break the game sometimes with the efficiency of things that you can make.
Right, making like automatic farms and
right, yeah, automatic farms, and like I said in the Hermitcraft server, some of the hermits have made mini games where there's almost completely new mechanics to the game just because of what they've been able to create with redstone. So it's a really interesting element, and it's spawned kind of subgenres within the community of people who play. You got your creative types that build these massively detailed landscapes and make huge creations, and then You have the survival types that play modded games and make the game hard, and add RPG elements. And then you have your redstone engineers that try to break the game for efficiency and see just how fast they can make certain resources grow, or just how fast they can mine out areas of land. And it's very, very interesting for that reason.
A lot of those elements too, like you are right about like modders using mods to add RPG elements and things like that to make the game harder, etc. Of course, but there are also a lot of mods that will cater to every type of person. There are mods to make building more easy for the creative types, for instance, especially large structures and things like that, or add new decorative blocks that otherwise just aren't available in the game. A lot of things that are in the game now for Redstone started out as mods, for instance, like the hopper system, for instance, started out as mods. I think it was called like Buildcraft or something like that, or I forget which one exactly, but one of them added pipes to the game forever ago, and I'm sure there was a mod before that, and then Mojang ended up taking that idea and using it to build hoppers, and it's just, and then it's just amazing. The amount of things that is possible with the game. Even in the base game, like John said, you can use things like Redstone to create mini games and whatnot, but then if you're willing to add mods, it's a whole nother thing. And now they have something called data packs, which I don't know a whole lot about them, but data packs are ways to mod the game without really installing mods, just by using, because there is something called what are they called? They're the little blocks that you can actually write code in.
Command blocks.
Command blocks. So there are command blocks now in the game, and those let you kind of change the game's rules and teleport things around, spawn things in, remove things from the player's inventory, etc. So you can basically create mods without ever actually downloading or installing mods, which is really interesting to me as well.
Yeah. I know that the Hermitcraft server uses command blocks to modify how the day-night cycle works a touch, in the sense that usually when you're on a server and you want to skip the night by sleeping in a bed, everyone has to sleep.
Right.
But given the scope of the Hermitcraft server, they have people from all over the world playing at completely different times. They use a command block so that if one person sleeps in a bed, it skips the night. Not everybody has to sleep in the bed.
And just another instance of Mojang kind of taking ideas from the community, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying is a bad thing, just kind of pointing it out. They use, originally that existed as mods, of course, for servers, then data packs kind of took over, and now it's a data pack. But Mojang is, if I remember correctly, actually adding that into the 1.17 server commands.
Oh, really?
So starting 1.17, you'll actually, the server owner will be able to say a percentage of people that need to sleep for the night to skip. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I forget what else they do. I know they add very small things, like they add what would you call it? Like you press a button and there's like an indicator of who's online, and sometimes
tab.
Sometimes based on what they're doing, though, they can display other information. Like if they're having some kind of contest as to who can kill the most phantoms, a little number will display beside their head.
Instead of their score or death count or whatever it is normally, they can change it to show other information.
Just little bits and pieces like that. Or what is it? Something that made it easier. Typically there's a block called terracotta. Used to be hardened clay. To get different colors of it, you have to find a specific kind of terracotta called not undyed terracotta, but it's just normal terracotta. If you find a dyed form of terracotta, you can't change the color, and it does spawn naturally in the Mesa biome. But on the Hermitcraft server, you can color any type of terracotta, so the color you need it, and that's just a quality of life change for them because of the massive builds that they make. It would be such a grind to get only one type of terracotta. So just little things like that. But so what was your history to the game? Do you remember how you were first introduced? Or?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing since the alpha days, a long time. I was technically in college, so I'm a little bit
Mm-hmm.
older than John, and I started going to college a few years before most people
Mm-hmm.
my same age did. But I was
Mm-hmm.
technically in college, and a buddy of mine introduced it to me actually during class, and I thought it was
Yeah.
really interesting, you know. And a lot like you, he introduced it kind of as Legos, but in a virtual world.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, there wasn't a whole lot to do besides the mining, basic crafting, and then building up structures and things. That was pretty much it. So I got into
Right.
it a little bit. I started playing it, bought my own copy, started playing it and things. And I had a lot of fun with it. I played it
Mm-hmm.
a fair bit for a while. But after a while,
Right.
I just kind of tend to get bored of these type of games. And so I kind
Mm-hmm.
of play Minecraft in waves. What
Right.
has persisted, though, over all of these years is the community content. I don't watch as
Yeah.
much as I used to just because I don't have as much time, but I still love to watch Hermitcraft, like John was talking about. I watch Mumbo Jumbo on there.
Mm-hmm.
I watch Captain Sparkle, some of his playthroughs and things like that, as well
Right.
as what initially got me into YouTube, kind of. Even
Mm-hmm.
now, I watch YouTube as my main form of entertainment, and kind of where that started was with Yogscast. They
Okay.
had a server with two of the Yogscast members, and they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of a survival multiplayer type deal at first. But then as they started to get into the series, some weird things started to happen and things like that. And then they
Mm-hmm.
turned it into this whole storyline, and they got other people to come in and role play on their server with them. They never talked or
Nice.
anything like that. It was only text chat with those other people. It was only the two main characters that ever actually talked. But every
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, you would see like an ominous figure off in the distance, and you would find notes
Mm-hmm.
from them and things like that, or new challenges and puzzles and things they would have to solve to be able to progress through this kind of story, this evolving story with real people.
Right.
And from my understanding, I haven't actually checked it out. From my understanding, there's the Dream Survival multiplayer server, which
Yeah.
does something kind of similar, but it seems to be taken a little less seriously from the little bit that I've seen of it. But
Right.
just for the kids these days, you know, who are watching YouTube and things like that, I think kind of
Mm-hmm.
is similar to the Dream Survival multiplayer type of deal. Similar to
Right.
that. And that's kind of what got me into YouTube as my main form of entertainment, even.
Right.
So Minecraft had a huge impact on my life kind of indirectly through that. As well as,
Yeah.
of course, like I said, I still play Minecraft to this day. You know, I still hop on every once in a while, check out the newest mods, play
Mm-hmm.
through once or twice every year or so. I don't have as much like detailed information as John does about it because that's kind of just how I do it. I just it's a game
Right.
that I play every once in a while. Because for me,
Right.
Minecraft really is just kind of an engine to build other games with.
Right.
It's a great way to make new quests, to make adventure maps, to make your own story with, to add your own gameplay elements and things like that. Minecraft in its base form just isn't really my kind of game, sadly.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a great
Well,
thing it's a great way to spend time with friends too, though. The multiplayer aspect is amazing.
right. And that's an interesting like thought experiment because something that you've said to me before that definitely rings true is Minecraft still kind of feels like a beta. It kind of
Yeah.
feels like they're adding in elements that were always supposed to be in the game, but they just haven't come out with them yet.
Exactly.
And the real game isn't quite there yet.
Right.
But at the same time, if you think about all the things that we've talked about, all the multiplayer servers and the mods and the huge, absolutely massive community, Minecraft
Oh, yeah.
is to date, I think, either the second most or most sold game of all time. You know, would it have become that phenomenon if they kind of quote unquote finished the game? Like if they had added in the normal gameplay type things like RPG elements and like a concrete storyline and different things like that, could people have taken it and expanded it to the level they did? Would they have been incentivized to expand
As long as
to
it
the
wasn't
level?
forced upon you, I think it
Right.
still would have done very well. Or they could have
Right.
just had it as another game mode, which I think at one time was
Right.
kind of planned to have like an adventure game mode. When in
Yeah.
fact there is an adventure game mode in the game, they just didn't
Mhm.
add any real story or anything to go along with it outside
Right.
of the very simple story that's in the game. But
Right.
as long as it wasn't forced upon you or a separate game mode, I think it still would have been just as successful, if not more successful than it is now.
Okay.
But they've kind of, instead of kind of going down that route with Minecraft, they've instead decided to do more of like the spin-off kind of route, where they now
Yeah.
have other games that explore kind of the lore of the world, and for people
Mhm.
like that who want stories and RPGs and things. But
Yeah.
and again, so don't get
There's,
me wrong, I don't want anybody to think that I don't like Minecraft. Minecraft is a great thing. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't consider it a very good game. I kind of consider
Mm-hmm.
it a tool to build cool things with, whether
Right.
that's structures, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
machines, whether it's games, whether it's to test mechanics for your own games, things like that. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm also
which
just not a
has been
huge fan of
done.
survival games in general, though. I get bored with them fairly easily. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, because there is kind of a point, and I've even seen some of the big Minecraft YouTubers come out and talk about like what to do when you feel like you're getting burnt out on Minecraft, because
right,
they've made their livelihood off of this now. They can't just switch it up and start playing COD. Like they
right,
got
yeah,
they got to keep coming up with new interesting things to do to appeal to their community. So it's really interesting to see this person like Mumbo Jumbo that has 6 million subscribers now say here's what I do when I'm feeling really burnt out and bored with Minecraft.
right,
he's
yeah,
been he's been playing
right,
it as his main source of income for years, and even he gets kind of burnt out with the game because of its limited scope at times.
right.
But I just think that do you think that there'll ever be a Minecraft 2 or even a Minecraft successor, and
Yes,
not even necessarily made by the
yes.
same team?
Well,
Okay.
whether it's made by the same team or not,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Mojang will make a Minecraft 2 eventually.
You think so?
Whether something overtakes Minecraft, though, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a much larger overtaking or undertaking. I mean,
Yeah.
really, Notch, the original creator, he just got lucky. He got
Yeah.
extremely lucky. And in
Yeah.
my personal opinion, it's because of the YouTubers that it had the success that it has.
Yeah.
I don't believe without Yogscast and without the other YouTubers that started to spring up shortly after Yogscast, I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe the game would be anything close to what it is. And
Yeah.
I mean, because now you have some of the largest YouTubers in the world. PewDiePie did Minecraft there for a little while. Captain
Yeah.
Sparkles is massive with multiple channels. He still
Mm-hmm.
plays Minecraft consistently. You
Yeah.
have, like you said, multiple people on the Hermitcraft server have multiples of millions of subscribers and things like that. And
Right.
that's a huge driving force behind people buying these games and continuing to
Mm-hmm.
play this game. So really,
Right.
I think it's more the community that drove its success than the actual content of the game itself. Now, of
Right.
course, it's because of the freedom in the game that so many YouTubers were able to do kind of their own spin on it without it all just becoming the same. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really think he just got Notch got extremely lucky. So whether a successor will be made by somebody else, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
eventually, sure, but it's got
Right.
to all the stars have to align again though, which isn't
Right.
it's no easy task.
Right. Because I mean, like, well, I can't even think of like a comparison necessarily to like something else that was overtaken by a similar thing. Like, how can you remake Monopoly? How can you
Yeah,
how can you redo Legos?
right.
Nobody's been able to do that. There have been people that tried. There's Mega Blocks and Connects and a whole bunch of different alternatives to a similar theme,
I
but
would point
nobody
out
has.
though that Minecraft fell in popularity very hard for a number of
Yes,
years.
true.
It definitely wasn't almost dead, but it was not nearly as popular as it is now
It
for a
was
number of years, and it only
it was
recently
niche
started
for a bit.
becoming extremely
Yeah.
popular again because
Mhm.
YouTubers started covering it. Now,
Yeah.
to be clear, in saying that, even at its low point in the past few
Mhm.
years, it was still one of the largest games in the world.
Yeah. Mhm.
But it
Yeah.
did fall in popularity very much. And other games like Fortnite, obviously not the same style of game, but other
Mhm.
games were able to overtake it in terms of viewer count, player count, etc.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
And
it's
there was
not and it's not unbeatable. Somebody someday will come out with something that overtakes it. I'm sure of it.
yeah. Do you think I mean I could be biased, but I just it's hard for me to realize that. I'm not naive enough to think that it can't ever happen,
Right.
but it's just hard for me to kind of reconcile that in my brain. Like what Titan could beat Minecraft?
Right.
Like what could possibly replace such a unique and widely loved thing? It's I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about. You can let us know in the comments.
Right.
everybody on YouTube or on our Facebook page or whatever
Whatever
whatever.
media you want to
Yeah.
message us on, yeah.
Yeah, whatever media you want to message us on, let us know what you think could possibly overtake this. I don't think it would be anything that's out currently, but let us know your thoughts, because this is kind of an interesting episode for us. Usually we do either a franchise that's very well known and well established, or we do sort of like independent one-offs. Usually we don't cover something as broad of a scope as Minecraft, because
Right.
our entire premise is playing just one more level of something, and that's usually kind of a short experience. But Minecraft for a lot of people is nothing close
Right.
to a short experience.
Definitely.
So yeah, it doesn't even really have levels.
Right.
So would
it has
you play,
dimensions. I'd play just one more dimension.
I'd play just one more dimension. So that's that's my basic thoughts. I could go on talking about Minecraft for a very long time. What you're seeing on stream here and what you'll see on the video is my playthrough, and I believe Christian will be adding in his playthrough.
Possibly not. It depends on how much footage we actually end up needing. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I ended up playing a little bit more than Christian. I played about 3 hours worth on my own. Christian played just over an hour's worth, I think you said.
Yeah.
And then we played together.
Played more. Yeah.
Yeah, we played together on a server that Christian made using one of my old world files, and it was a ton of fun.
Yes.
Play just that little bit of playtime on the server. We were just messing around, and that's a nice experience. You don't always get to do the types of things you can do on a Minecraft server on other types of servers.
Right.
Right. Like I played on very. I can't underplay this enough. I've barely played on MMO servers.
Right.
I think I've played once with our friend Travis on Star Wars: The Old Republic. But even that was a vastly different experience to hopping onto a multiplayer of Minecraft and messing around. So it's a really cool thing for that reason. But yeah, I would play just one more dimension of Minecraft. I would generate just one more world.
There you go. There you go.
I would play on just one more server. I would mine just one more ore.
One more block.
I would mine just place one more block. Yeah. I love Minecraft. I eat up the YouTube content. I play. It's something that like my wife and I can do together, which is sometimes kind of a hurdle for people that like to play video games.
Yeah, definitely.
I know that's a thing that happens. One of them will be playing games in the other room, and that'll be like a thing where they're just like, why don't we hang out anymore? You just sit on your computer and you play games all the time. But Minecraft is accessible enough that a lot of people can like it for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. So that's it was like a bonding thing for me and my wife for a long time. We had a great big world we played on the PS3 for a long time, and since we've both have computers now and like the Nintendo Switch, that's another thing. There's 2 versions of Minecraft now. There's the console/Windows 10 edition, often
most
called
people
Bedrock
know
edition.
Bedrock, yeah.
And then there's the original Java edition.
If you really want to get into it, technically there's even more versions, because you also have the mobile port, which is its own version and has some unique things that the other versions don't. Then there's also a stripped down version for education, because a lot of people or schools will use this as an educational tool. And then there's also a freeware version that are distributed on things like the Raspberry Pi. So Minecraft's huge. It really is
huge. Yeah. But Bedrock Edition has made the game even more accessible. Because
the performance and everything is just better on the Bedrock Edition too. It's just not as moddable, and it's not as proliferated in the PC space as the Java Edition has, because Java Edition's been around literally since the game was created, whereas Bedrock is the new updated version. It basically is Minecraft too. Just it has exactly all the same mechanics, and they're still porting all of the new stuff back to the Java Edition. So
and they haven't figured out how to do everything that the Java Edition can do on Bedrock, just because the accessibility of being able to play with a keyboard and mouse is different than what you can do on Java Edition. For instance, on Java Edition, you still don't have the swipe mechanic with the sword. So there's no sweeping edge enchantments or anything like that. You still pick away at things with the sword.
See, that's actually really weird because they could do that if they wanted to. There's actually no limitation stopping them from doing that with the Java programming language. They just, I don't know. It's just one of those small differences, I guess.
Yeah, well, like, it's on Bedrock. You can't sweep.
Java, sorry, you can sweep. Well, yeah, see,
on Java,
Bedrock
you can sweep with the sword.
Bedrock should have even more options because it's developed in C#, presumably, since it's a Universal Windows Platform app. But I don't know. That's weird. Strange.
Yeah, but there's a few things, just like kind of a few quality of life things you can do on Java that you can't do on Bedrock. And I know redstone mechanics work a little
slightly differently. Yep.
Yeah, they're more straightforward on Bedrock Edition than in Java Edition, which is very detrimental to someone who does that for a gameplay style.
Right.
So I know most redstone mechanics prefer Java over Bedrock because of the different things they're just used to doing with redstone.
Right.
So that's something there, but they are working on parity. I know that's something they talked about a lot with the most recent update. Is they're striving to create parity between the two, so that when new updates come out, it just rolls out the same overall.
Right.
But I wonder if they'll ever stop making one of them. If they'll stop making Java and you'll just all have the same Minecraft. I know a lot of people will be heartbroken.
See, I find it hard to believe that they will unless they make it an official Minecraft 2, because again, for I would say the majority of players who have been playing for a long time, maybe not the majority, but it's definitely a very large part of them at least. Mods are huge part of the game. Huge. I know modding isn't something Jon really does, but it is a absolutely massive part of the game and has been since shortly after the game came out. And Bedrock has some modding support, but not nearly what you can do in Java, because in Java you can edit the code itself to the game. You don't really have that option in Bedrock, so
and Jon really doesn't do mods just because Jon hasn't quite figured out yet how to get them to run properly. That's the only real reason Jon doesn't really do mods. There's a TARDIS mod that I would love. I would absolutely love a TARDIS mod, but can't get it to run. So, there's that.
Yeah, so there's still work that could be done on things like that, making things like that more accessible. And the modding community has made it a lot better. I remember when I first got the game and started modding, the only option to add mods back then was to actually open up the executable, the .jar file, the Java runtime file, and to copy and paste basically new code directly into the game's file itself, like the file, whereas now you only have to do that with one executable, and then that one executable can go look in a folder, in a mod folder, for everything else that you want to add to the game. So it's certainly a lot easier now, and there used to be conflicts because if two things were both trying to change the same piece of code or the same code file, then, well, you can't have that happen. One has to take priority. So again, now there's tools that make that so much easier, but yeah, it's still a little bit of work at least to get everything started, unless you download something like a mod manager, mod launcher, that pretty much takes care of all of it for you, and those are nice.
Probably. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Yeah. But so that's Minecraft. There's so much more to say, but what really is more what's really more to say on a podcast dedicated to just playing
the basics,
the basics. So
this isn't a full review channel, so it's like, what else else are we supposed to say? It's Minecraft, ladies and gentlemen.
That's pretty much all we got. So we talked about whether or not we would play just one more level. Next week we're playing what's it called? Underdog?
Underhero.
Undertale? Underhero.
Underhero. That's right. Right.
Underhero. I haven't checked this one out yet, so that's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
I have no idea what it's about. So
it's interesting. It's one of those smaller indie titles that we like to cover from time to time, and it's one that I think Jon will enjoy. So I'm excited for it.
Okay. Yeah, because we have one planned that apparently I won't enjoy because it's going to be programming.
It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited to just hear Jon be mad. So
right.
that one's a little bit farther away, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. So Christian, where can we find you?
Oh Lord. So I am obviously on Twitch, which if you're watching the stream right now, hello. We do live stream these episodes over on my Twitch channel, which is Stream All the Steam. You can also just go to twitch.justonemorepodcast.com, which is our website, obviously just one more podcast, but putting Twitch in front of it will link you straight to the stream, which is nice. I also have YouTube and Twitter that you can find me on. I've been a little inactive lately because of catching COVID and then trying to get back into the normal swing of things and work and things like that. But here very soon, I will be continuing my challenge runs that I've been working on of the Elder Scrolls and Fallout games. So I live stream those on Twitch and then occasionally upload those to YouTube. And Jon, what have you been up to, man? Where can we find you at?
I haven't been up to a whole lot recently, other than the podcasts, but you can find me on Twitch at I'm the Dorseman. I'm the Dorseman everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, at Jon Dorsey 1. I do streams on Twitch. I much like Christian. It's been a busy time. I haven't done much lately, but I do plan on coming back and streaming on there, and then I upload clips of those videos to YouTube, as well as some other random tidbits. Like I sometimes make pixel art, so I'll upload something like that every once in a while. So feel free to come out and check out some of the stuff. I'm also available, of course, at all of the Just One More Level podcast or Just One More podcasts social media. We have Twitter. We have a website, which is amazing. So definitely go check out the website. We have a poll that is over now, I believe, but we will be putting up another one in the future. So you can tell us what games, out of all of the suggestions that we've had, which games you'd most like to see us play, which is a fun bit of thing. We have blogs on there. I have yet to upload a blog, but Christian has been very active with some blog posts on there. So you can go check those out if you want to. I got some stories and things, some short stories based off of the game RimWorld that I upload on there. I also have my own video game reviews that I post up on there. I only have one live right now, but I have a couple more in the works, one of which should be coming up in a couple days. So yeah. And as well as just like news and things that you can find on the website and episodes of the podcast if you don't want to watch them directly on YouTube or a different podcast provider. We do also upload them all to the website. Yeah. So come and check us out on there. Show us your support, by liking and subscribing and following on your podcast podcast provider of choice or on YouTube. Come check us out on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, and we post semi-regularly on there. That's where you'll get updates on like when we're going to be streaming the next episode, when certain uploads are going to happen, when the poll will be live on our website, different things like that. So check us out on the socials, and thank you. A huge thank you. Like I've said before, we don't have millions of subscribers, but we have a low audience that we have fun with, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come out and support us and watch our stuff, because you don't have to, but you do, and we appreciate it. We really, really do. So thank you, everybody. But that is it for Minecraft. We will see you again next week with Underhero. Yep. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye, y'all.